Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Buhari and the All Progressives Congress asked the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal to dismiss the petition filed by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate, Atiku Abubakar. President of Senate Ahmed Lawan condemns physical assault on former Deputy President of Senate Ikekwe Madu in Germany. Islamic Movement of Nigeria, IMN, denies claims by the federal government that its leader, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, planned to seek asylum in India during his medical trip. And thousands of protesters begin anti-government peaceful march in Hong Kong. And for more information on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com. youtube.com/channelsweb has videos of our shows. And to some of the stories that you sent in, let's begin with this picture from Ekiti State showing a number of people whom our Eyewitness describes as youth of Ekiti East local government area protesting an alleged prolonged blackout in their communities. According to our Eyewitness, they have not had light for more than 6 years, and they're calling on the attention of the Benin Electricity Distribution Company to attend to their plight. Next is this image from Isiokpo Ideato North local government area of Imo State. Shows the extent of damage by gully erosion in the community. Our Eyewitness expresses concern over the danger it portends for them and wants it given necessary action. Finally, this image from northern Ukele in Cross River State showing the state of the road. The Eyewitness reporter laments the poor state of the road and says it brings untold hardship to residents, motorists alike. He wants the state government to attend to this and ease the pains residents go through. Thank you for the images and please keep them coming. To a disheartening story, 2 serving National Youth Corps members in Katsina State have lost their lives in an accident the early hours of today. The accident occurred in Gobirawa village along Katsina-Kankara Road while they were on their way to Funtua local government area of the state to attend a wedding mass. One of the survivors told Governor Aminu Masari of Katsina State, who was at the scene of the accident, that it occurred as a result of brake failure. The survivors were given first aid treatment by the medical team on the convoy of the Katsina State Governor, who was also on his way to Danja local government area of the state for a function. Governor Masari then directed a pilot Hilux van in his convoy to return the survivors and the 2 dead bodies to Katsina, the state capital. The frequency of flooding in Nigeria's capital city is worrying to residents as they have now contend with floods almost every time that it rains. In this report, our correspondent Linda Akibe examines how floods appears to have come to stay in the Federal Capital Territory.
This is Galadimawa, an area in the Federal Capital Territory close to the city center. Now, 3 weeks ago, at this exact spot, it was filled with flood water. These trees were completely submerged in flood water. We couldn't even see the top of the trees. Now, the water extended from here to this road by the side, and a man who was on his way to the airport was killed. He lost his life at this area. Up until a few years ago, floods were not a common phenomenon in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. But this has changed, as FCT residents now have to contend with floods almost every time there is a heavy downpour. In August 2017, tragedy struck when a man and 2 of his children died while trying to drive out of one of the estates in Lokogoma, a suburb in the Federal Capital Territory. In June 2018, 6 people died when a flood overflew a culvert and took with it a Sienna bus with 4 passengers and a motorcycle with 2 passengers. August 2nd, 2019, the Director of Finance at the FCT High Court, Mr. Tony Okechimi, was killed in a flood close to Galadimawa roundabout in the FCT. Karu, Galadimawa, Lokogoma and its environs have been worst hit by floods recently. Why are floods occurring frequently in the capital city? We visit the Director of Information and Communications in the FCT to get answers.
There's also a behavioral problem of the residents. First of all, you find people who go and build where they shouldn't build. You find people who build on floodplains. You find people who put one construction or the other on flood areas or even gutter. You find some people who dump their refuse in gutter.
But these buildings on drainages and flood paths do not appear overnight. And some have questioned why the FCT administration allows these infractions to persist.
If you go to most of all these buildings, the moment they start, we go there, we have district officers who go monitoring. And they mark it. You see some buildings, you have this red mark, stop work. And what do our people do? Most of our people will go buy white paint over the stop work mark.
We visit the Pedan Dam in the FCT, which regulates water flow in the drainage system and has a reservoir capacity of 5.8 million cubic meters.
We had planned that we could have this situation in the FCT, and that's why a dam like this was constructed, and we also do impoundment. So it's not like we knew this could happen, but even in this extreme case, if there's no poor human behavior, we'll still not have any situation.
Regardless of the infrastructure in the FCT and the preparedness of the administration to handle floods, some say the effect of climate change means that there may be more rainfall in the FCT and other parts of the country, and it is imperative to have an effective emergency response system.
There's nothing you can do about flash floods. What you now do is your emergency response to things like this.
It is when they call us that we will come. If the incident happened 30 minutes before we are known, then nobody will blame us that we didn't come 30 minutes before. So the issue, they call us, and our response time in the city is 5 minutes from wherever you call us.
The FCT administration says it plans to demolish about 300 structures in the Galadimawa-Lukugoma axis built on drainages and waterways and contribute to flooding in the capital city. While government appeals for attitudinal change by Nigerians, residents in turn are asking the FCT management to be more alive to its responsibilities by ensuring drainages and waterways are cleared promptly. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
In the southeast, the Imo State Governor, Emeka Ihedioha, has urged Nigerians to embrace their culture and tradition as it remains a key factor that unites the people in every society. The governor disclosed this during the annual New Yam Festival at the Mbise Stadium venue of the 2019 Mbise New Yam Festival. The governors of Enugu and Sokoto, as well as the Deputy Governor of Abia State, were present to felicitate with their Imo State counterpart.
Yam. Nigeria is widely regarded as the world's largest producer of this staple food, accounting for over 70% of the world's supply chain. So, little wonder its arrival is always met with celebration. It's the New Yam Festival in Mbise, a local government area in Imo State. The people have come out to commemorate the first harvest. The community is not enjoying this event alone, though. The state governors here, along with special dignitaries, the governors of Enugu and Sokoto states. The spectacle brings together sons and daughters of Mbise across the world, a tradition set to date back many, many years.
When we go to our farms and we harvest the first crops, the first thing we do is to present it to God Almighty, to say, thank you, Jehovah, thank you, God. You that made it possible, you that gave us the sun, the rain, you that gave us the strength to go to the farm, to work hard, and now we are reaping the fruit of our labor. So that is the whole essence of the festival.
Before the new yam can be officially consumed, a symbolic activity is carried out. The governor leads his guests and performs the act. The governor then connects the festival with unity in the country. urging the people to strengthen their culture and tradition to achieve this.
God has blessed our nation. God has blessed our people. You can see that there is an attendance from across the country because people found the need to associate with it.
Impressed by the day's event, Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State makes a recommendation for future festivals.
It's a very rich historical event that really is very fascinating, and I believe that if you do a lot more to improve on it, it has the capacity of bringing more people to Imo State.
As the consumption of yam is officially announced with this festival, the people in this community and others like it will pound away, boil and enjoy several delicacies of yam until the next harvest signals another reason to celebrate.
And to something for the singles, relationship experts have been speaking on what single persons need to look out for in order to build lasting and sustainable relationships. The first ever single summit of the Rose of Sharon Ministry provided a platform for these experts to share some tips on initiating and sustaining relationships.
At the foundation of the existence of Rose of Sharon Glorious Ministry International is faith in God. This they express in songs of praises. The core business of the day is preparing the yet-to-be-married individuals for the next phase of their lives on the theme, Window Shop for Your Spouse. The host, Mrs. Folorunsho Alakija, who is unable to attend the event, sent in her message on the need for the theme.
Seeking a life partner can also be compared with shopping for an uncommon high-value item. It requires careful examination, a high level of consciousness, cautiousness, and consideration.
Highlight of this consideration is what relationship therapist Mrs. Kemi Tony Akinwumi has done by advising individuals to focus on discovering and building themselves.
Window shopping starts from you. Looking forward to someone to get married to, you are the most important factor on that journey. Because a lot of time, as wonderful single men and women, we are preoccupied with what we want to shop. We are preoccupied with what we are looking for, that we neglect ourselves.
The second speaker, Pastor Jimmy Odukoya, speaks to the ladies. He gives pointers to an unhealthy relationship.
If you are ever in a relationship, notice I said relationship, and you have to ask, what are we or where are we going? You are not in a relationship, you are in a situationship. I know there's a question and answer, so we'll stay for a bit and then we can, God bless you, thank you so much.
This is the first singles conference, and the ministry has promised that the conference has come to stay. And so, individuals should communicate on preferred themes to be treated in subsequent meetings.
And when the news at 10 returns, residents of Osele village in Ogbunike, Oyi local government area of Anambra State want the state government to wade into the boundary issue between them and their neighbors from Ezekwele and Amuche villages. Please join us again. Welcome back. Now, making food safe, available and affordable is the goal of the food security programs of the United Nations. The Global Food Security Index reveals that most African countries are still at the bottom of the food security ladder. How can Africa and Nigeria improve its global food security ranking? What are the other effective ways to increase domestic food production and also end hunger. Well, with me tonight on the news at 10 is Babajide Ogunsonwo, Channels Television's data consultant. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good evening, Melissa.
Now, the president recently talked about the progress made in physical and also food security. Do we need new policies or programs to win this war against hunger? And another question, many people are also trying to ask is, how much food do we import and what are the implications?
I hope we have enough time to go through everything. But how much food did we import 6 decades ago? I'm talking about in 1960, how much food came in through our borders? And I'll share that information with you tonight, and I think you'll be surprised. But tonight, there are 3 things I want to talk about. The first is, what is the real importance of growing local food production? The second is, why is the president eager to reduce the amount of foreign exchange we spend importing food? And the third is, what practical steps can we take to boost food production? So let's talk about the first thing, the importance, the significance of growing local food production. And if we look at the evidence that is available to us today, it tells us that there are 25 million Nigerians that are employed in the agricultural sector. In other words, food is the #1 profession in Nigeria. So 3 things will happen if we're able to grow local food production. The first is food will become more available to every Nigerian. The second is food will become more affordable because of economies of scale and scope. And the third is there will be more jobs. Now let's look at the second thing I talked about, and that is, why is the president so eager to reduce our food importation bill, especially how much foreign exchange it takes from us? And to look into the president's head, we'll have to look outside. What do I mean by looking outside? Let's look at what President Donald Trump said 19 days ago. He talked about the Federal Reserve Bank, an independent institution in the United States. He was screaming that they should lower rates. Why? Because his interest is America first. What is happening with the Brexit deal? The reason why there's been so much back and forth is because the British are looking for an agreement that considers the British man first. And with China as well, we've seen China's super explosion in the world. It's because the Chinese government is subsidizing production and undervaluing their currency. In other words, the Chinese interest first. So we should ask ourselves, shouldn't Africans and even Nigeria start considering themselves first? Because if we look at the most recent report from the Global Food Report, that's the Global Food Index report, it reviews 113 countries globally. And in that report, it is no surprise that Singapore comes out as the #1 country that has the most affordable food. And within that same report, we see the countries that food, the bottom 15 countries in that report that food is most expensive is within Africa. So we need to also understand that globally countries are putting themselves first, and the president's concern really right now is also the interest of Nigerians.
So are we spending a lot in importing food and beverages?
So much. Now let's take a detailed look at how much food we're importing. And the evidence from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that last year, Millicent, we spent 1.4 trillion naira importing food and beverages. Now, let me make you understand what that number means. Within the 1 hour that you spend reading the news tonight, we'll be importing food and beverages worth 150 million naira. That is what the figure means. So clearly there is a need to be able to manage how much we import, but also grow local food production.
What is the impact? Various credit programs by the central bank, the micro, small, medium-sized businesses. A lot of people are really wondering. There's a few people have cried out at the high interest rates. What's the impact for those local farmers and entrepreneurs in all of this?
So the central bank and the government have spent a lot of put in a lot of money promoting food crops. What we will expect them going forward is also to put a lot of guarantees and a lot of credit in cash crops. So we've seen a lot of money in the past 4 years go into poultry, go into tubers, but not so much money has gone into promoting cash crops. So the central bank needs to keep an eye on new investments into cash crops. And also an eye needs to go into how much money we spend importing manufactured equipment, because manufactured equipment takes a huge chunk of all the foreign exchange earnings of this country. So the central bank needs to have more focus on cash crops as well.
Finally, when you look at the crystal ball, what does it say? The pronouncement of the president on the forex to boost local agriculture, do you see us meeting that mark rather than what economic theorists have posited on perhaps high inflation?
Looking at the crystal ball and all the evidence we have, the rate of growth of food increase or the cost of food will reduce, and in no time soon will we see a reduction in the number of items that the CBN has put on restrictions for foreign import. But I also want us to take a look at the three facts, to quickly take a look at the three facts about food in Nigeria, because then that allows us to see why the president and why the government is eager to reduce all that importation. We see a lot of imported food coming from Europe and America, which is the very first fact. We also clearly see what Nigerians love to consume. We're looking at yam, tubers, plantain, vegetables. And finally, if we look at those facts as well, we clearly also see those food items that the central bank needs to be able to put more investment in so that we're able to promote
All right, it's definitely something we'll keep talking about. Thank you so much, Babajido Gusonwo, for joining us on the news at 10. Residents of Osile village in Ogbunike-Oyi local government area of Anambra State are appealing to the state government to wade into encroachment by their neighbors from Ezekwele and Amuche villages of Nkwele, Ezunaka in the same local government. Our community report tonight looks at this age-long land dispute between villages and what the Anambra State Boundary Commission is doing to avert the breakdown of peace.
Whenever this sound is heard across the land, it usually signals matters of extreme importance. And there is one that is brewing. It is an issue that has for years led to violent clashes among communities under Oyi local government area of Anambra State, southeast Nigeria. Elders, women, and youth of Osile Ogbunike Township pour onto the streets, chanting to express their anger. The cause of the protest is land, and how it appears the neighbors are encroaching on their space.
Since boundary suit.
Explaining the history with the help of a map, one of the elders in the village urges the authorities to activate the judgment passed by the courts.
We need government intervention to get justice. All they need to do is to carve out, using the Supreme Court judgment, to say this is our land, this is your land. That is no longer a matter of that the land is in dispute. It is a matter of following what the judgment of the Supreme Court is saying, that this land belongs to Usile, this land belongs to Nkwele, Amuche Nkwele, this land belongs to Ezinkwele, this belongs to Ezumuonya. That's all we're asking them to do.
But as it goes with disputes, there's usually another side to the story. Members from the opposing Amuche and Ezekwele communities have their version of how time presented the case. And this one is also backed by a document.
Usile does not have 1 inch of the land beyond 100 yards given to them by the Supreme Court. They have copies of that judgment. There is no appeal against a full Supreme Court judgment that can set aside that judgment. That judgment still subsists and will remain legal forever.
But surely, the authorities must have an answer to this. A visit is made to the Boundary Commission in the state to clarify how things stand.
The Boundary Committee, in its own effort, has gone a long way to settle this matter. But at a point, the committee found out that the problem with the matter is there are some faults in the judgment plan, which the committee raised, even with the former surveyor that was handling the Osile part. Boundary committee invited Osilo Wunike community, their own surveyor, invited Eziumunya surveyor, invited all other surveyors that are handling their respective communities for them to come together so that we can find amicable solution to this matter.
Cordiality between warring communities is not easy to achieve, but the fighting has gone on for too long. And all the resident wants is for it all to be settled by the law to avoid further breakdown of order.
Still in Anambra State, the Governor, Willie Obiano, has commissioned an ultra-modern hospital, Immaculate Heart Multi-Specialist Hospital, Aguleri, which is under the supervision of the Onitsha Catholic Diocese. The hospital, situated on a hilly, serene landscape, is equipped with modern equipment to attend to the health needs of the people seeking medical attention in Anambra and beyond.
For Governor Willie Obiano, this is an emotional homecoming. It is his birthplace. The Immaculate Heart Multi-Specialty Hospital is also a place of history for the people of Aguleri, having survived the Civil War and later the Aguleri-Umueri communal clash. Now the aging medical facility has got a facelift, reconstructed to boost effective healthcare delivery for the rural communities. The event begins with a consecration mass.
Your goodness and love will envelop us, protect us, and shield us through Christ our Lord.
The governor says the state is on the right track, especially with its health insurance scheme.
If you watch what has been going on in our health sector, you see that we are making steady progress. The first progress was registering the primary health care agency, which is a world-class one. Since after that registration, we'll be recognized by both the federal government, the World Bank, and other people. The second, clearly, in the health area was the Anambra Health Insurance Scheme. This health insurance scheme is very important.
Then they told the facility that now offers accident and emergency services, antenatal care, obstetrics and gynecology, physiotherapy, general surgery, and other medical services.
It's a 100-bed hospital. It has a lot of functionalities. Now, the goal is to lay the foundation stone to bring reverse medical tourism to Anambra State.
My heart is filled with joy because one of the most important ways of preventing disability is good medical care. I am blind today because of lack of medical care when I had measles.
Governor Obiano has also assured the people of Anambra State that his administration will continue to partner relevant institutions to ensure effective healthcare delivery, as well as enhanced management and maintenance of healthcare facilities in the state.
Still ahead on the news at 10, champions, the Tigress of Nigeria, retain their FIBA Women's Afro-Basket title after beating host Senegal in the final. That's in sports news. Please stay with us.